Welcome to Strip Cover Lit. I am Adrian Fort.
And I'm Dalton Gentry.
And we are here with you for a 6 things list. Dalton, which 6 things be these 6 things?
Because people still seem more interested in us than what we have to say. We're going to do...
fun.
Booktube is fun. This is 6 more stories about us, but these are going to be 6 embarrassing stories about us.
Yeah.
So we might not be correlated in these stories together, but these are shameful secrets.
Yeah.
All right. Who wants to go first, class?
It's up to you. You pick.
Go ahead. Go ahead. You usually start anyway.
All right.
So.
Well, there was a weird time in my life, okay, when a lot of times, you know, when you're in your younger... I was 21, okay? And it's an awkward phase, kind of. And I had a decent job for my age. It was not a great job.
I'm just waiting for I was young, I needed the money.
No. This isn't those. Maybe those stories will come with time.
Okay.
I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready for those stories at this point. But you know, you date around, and a couple things that I kept hearing back from friends of women that I was dating. Well, you know, he's nice, and we have fun, and he doesn't have a career, or you know. I like him. He's sort of short. So, and I'm not proud of this by any means, and this is going to draw me, I am sure, a lot of ire, but one of the hobbies that I developed at this point in time, out of, I don't know out of what, but I enjoyed basically giving women, you know the term blue balls?
Yeah.
Where you just lead up and then, okay. I was doing that. And
as a hobby. And I may or may not have been dating a drug dealer's girlfriend. I didn't know this. She said she was single at first-ish. And so that was... Okay, so there was that. And there were some other women that I was dating at the time, not to get too crude. And... being me, and you know, the apartment I lived at the time, one of the weird things about it was always so dark outside. I lived on the 2nd story, and there were no lights on that 2nd story walkway. And I was giving a girl the business, and it was one of those times where, you know, maybe we're going to go through with this. Okay.
And we may or may not have been clothed. And we're in my bedroom. It was a 1-bedroom apartment, so we're back in the back there. And all of a sudden I hear, boom, boom. Okay, hold on. Pop, pop. I did the dumbest thing you can do in that situation. Instead of calling the police, I said, "You stay here.
Yep.
I'm going to be a big, strong man." So, naked as a jaybird, and in that state, right, of, you know, and I zoom out of my apartment into pitch black. I mean, it must have been midnight, right? And it's pitch black in my apartment, pitch black outside. The door is open. The door to my apartment is open. And the first thing that comes out of me, "Hey, who's there?" You know, because you think you're a big strong man at that point, right?
Yeah, all right.
And all of a sudden, this bright flash of light, pop. And I think, okay, well, I'm going to die. And it turns out, I get all the way to the door, "Hey!" And it's my neighbor across the hall. I forgot, in the heat of the moment, that my door sometimes never really locked. So here I am, naked, in that state, and my neighbor is putting a light bulb in these burnt out lights. It turned out my neighbor was the maintenance man for the complex. And it was pop, pop. And I come to the door, "Hey, who's there?" And he turns to me and he just goes, "Sorry, dude."
So you know how like you approached me with this idea, like everybody loved the 6 stories about us. We should do 6 embarrassing stories.
Yeah.
I want you to know through 90% of that, I'm like, oh, this is a bad idea.
Well, I wasn't going to die. I'm here. It's like the whole first-person narrator thing, right? You know the narrator's not going to die.
So you give me a lot of shit.
I do.
And call me a hipster.
I do.
Because you assume that I associate with this hipster lifestyle.
You do.
And I'm not going to say that that has been a thing that I've done in the past.
What's not a thing that you've done in the past?
Associated with alternative lifestyle, sense of dress, whatnot. But let us rewind to 2004. Young, fresh into high school Dalton. Searching for his place in the world, etc., etc. Emo music used to be quite popular at that point in time. And I got really good at putting on eyeliner for a long time. Probably an uncomfortably long time.
Did you have a favorite brand?
No, I did not have a favorite brand.
You ruined the story.
But no, the full dress, the tight jeans. I still wear relatively tight jeans, but like circulation losing jeans. The band t-shirt, the eyeliner. My hair didn't swoop because, natural Jew, it would just... But, the painted nails and the teenage angst.
You mean to tell me that you were emo before it was cool?
Oh, God. No, this was the height of popularity, you monster. So everybody keeps being so interested and like, oh, he had a fro and a giant homeless beard? I'd love to see it. There is worse out there.
What do you mean worse?
I don't have said pictures from that time period on social media.
Why not?
Well, because MySpace no longer exists. But they could be summoned up.
That's so funny because MySpace figures prevalently into my first story as well.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah. I won't go back that far, but...
Oh, well, so that was... I was 14, I think, at the time, so...
It's still something to be ashamed of.
Terribly ashamed of. Your turn.
Okay, so... Did I ever tell you the story about how I got my associate's degree?
No.
Okay, so I will not go too far to disparage community colleges because I'm still trying to find a job. But the advisors at community colleges are a particularly low breed of individual, and the curriculum at community colleges is constantly changing. So you're never really sure what it is that you have to graduate because you are grandpa'd in at whatever the curriculum was when you started, but that curriculum is never to graduate, but that curriculum is never readily available because the new one is out. So in addition to that, I had to stop school a lot of times to work, to be able to afford going to school.
Fair enough.
So what you do is you go into these academic advisors' offices and you say, hey, I'd like to enroll for next semester. And say, great, here's a computer, go ahead. So it gets to the point where I am feeling I should definitely be close to graduating.
Okay.
I don't know what I have to take. No one seems to know. I am sure-ish that it is in this range of class, right? I think they were called practical mathematical applications, right? I had to have one of those. So I decided to take, it was an economics course, accounting, I think it was. Just a base level accounting class. And the accounting book was like $400, something astronomical, and I couldn't afford it.
Accounting, so.
Yeah, obviously, all those numbers, they're gonna change, right? So you gotta have the new questions. So I was like, I can't afford this. So my friend convinces me, buy it online. I had never bought books online, didn't trust it. What if you don't get it, right? So she convinces me, just buy it online. I've been doing it for years, I've gotten all my books. So I said, okay, fine. So she helped me buy it online because obviously I don't know how internets work. And,
Yes.
by the time of the first day of class, I do not have my book. Okay, this is disheartening. By the end of the first week of class, I do not have my book. This is disheartening. By the end of the second week of class, I am copying word for word the questions from other people's books. This is disheartening.
Yes.
By the end of the third week of class, it is obvious I am not going to get my book. This is not sustainable. I've got to drop. And here I am. I've been trying to get an associate's degree, a 2-year degree, for about 5 years now.
Yeah.
Weaving in between work and this and that and everything. And I finally had to drop it. So I go to the academic advisor's office, and there are all these secretaries for the advisors.
Yeah.
And I go in there and I'm like, look, I need you to talk to me because the advisors don't. I need to know if there's something I can do. I think these are the types of classes, this is the type of class I have to take. It's the only one. Is there like a second half of the semester class I can get into? Is there, what do they call it, intercessionary classes I can get into? Is there an 8-week course I can get into? What is it that I can do? And by this time I am in an existential rage, right? Because I've already had to quit this class. I thought I was gonna finally get out of there.
Yeah.
All of these things. I'm old for being at a community college, to have been working so long on this one degree, this 2-year degree. I have sunk lots of money into a community college. They should have a wing named after me, and I'm losing it. I'm like, I'm never going to, because I was the first person in my family to go to college, and I'm like, here I am. I've wasted all of this. I am not going to get this degree. So I tell her, look, just work with me here. What is it that I need to take? Is there something I can do? All of these different options. And she says, okay, well, what is your name? Adrian Fort. So she types it in. Sorry, what is your name? Adrian Fort. Now here I am thinking, dear God.
You don't even exist.
Maybe they must have had me filed under my maiden name or something, because I don't exist in the computer, none of my classes have counted, or I have expired from the community college records. Something wrong has happened here. So she says again, what is your name? And I say, Adrian Fort, Adrian Fort. And she types it again, presses the enter button, looks up at me, looks down at the screen, looks up at me, looks down at the screen. I'm in a white sweat by this point.
Yeah.
And she says, I'm sorry, sir. You've already graduated. What? What do you mean I've already graduated? She said, yeah, the semester before last, you attained your associate's degree.
That's
And I
awesome.
said, this is awful. What do I do at this point? And she says, you just give me $15 here. Then you have to pay for the registration, this, that, the other, whatever, and they'll have your transcript for you. So that's how I graduated with my associate's degree.
Congratulations, here you go, get out.
And to celebrate that, I did not walk. I did not walk when I attained my bachelor's, and I did not walk when I got my master's degree. That's the celebrations that Adrian is part of.
Well done. We're going to go from 2004, we're going to fast forward a bit, a few years, when I got my first car. My first car was a Chevy conversion van. That is the full hollow van. It had been covered from floor to ceiling to wall with shag carpet. It had a couch that folded into a bed, a cupboard, and bubble windows on the side, and the little foot as a foot pedal.
Oh, nice.
At this point in time, again, we've discussed I had large hair and a bit of a beard at this period of my life.
This was post-emo.
This was post-emo. I've moved on. This is hippie phase. I could not get on the highway without immediately getting pulled over. It was just, I'd get up to 65 and I'd pull over because eventually a cop was going to show up. Never failed. I had just finished a production of Hunchback of Notre Dame. I was Quasimodo because this beautiful face just, reeks of Quasimodo.
You weren't Esmeralda.
I wasn't Esmeralda. So I've got this huge 1.5 in every direction afro, gelled down, matted, gross, oily, gritty. I have prosthetic on, so my eyes all scrunched up and gross looking. I'm in costume, and I have my Elton John sunglasses on because I'm driving, so I need my Elton John sunglasses. In my passenger seat, I have a bag of beef jerky, which I have buckled in for safekeeping. And I'm driving, and I get on the highway, and I get pulled over, as is tradition. So the police officer shows up, and I roll down the window, and he just kind of stares at me, doesn't say a word, And I hand him my license, I hand him my insurance. He doesn't say a word, he just looks at it, he says, "Can you step out of the car, please, sir?" Just not a question, not what did you do, just, "Can you step out of the car, please, sir?"
Come on.
At this point, I'm used to this. This is no big deal to me. So I step out of the car, side of the road, all hunched over, looking at traffic. He notices the beef jerky, and he notices the shag carpet, and he just kind of looks back at me, and he just crawls deeper into the abyss. I'm like, Jesus, this is going to take forever. He's going to search everything. And finally, he comes out and produces a dime bag, at which point I'm like, oh, what have I done? Of a white powdery substance. And it dawns on me that because of this whole facade of the hippie lifestyle, I thought it was hilarious to take cake mix and put them in dime bags and leave them in the cupboard. It took a lot of persuasion and explanation to explain to him, "Sir, if you will just put your finger on that and taste it, it's vanilla cake." So, thus began my criminal masterminding lifestyle. And
Deep in that bag of cake mix.
deep in that bag.
To the officer.
Sometimes I go home and I pour out an entire bag of Pillsbury and just. Anyway, your shot.
So, while it seems that you are traveling forward in time, I am traveling backwards.
Okay.
I've always been a loner. Okay, always. And one of the things that becomes obvious to you when you are a loner is that self-improvement's a very good idea.
Okay.
So I started doing push-ups and sit-ups on my own in like the 5th grade. By the time I got in the 7th grade, I wanted to move on to weights. So there was a clearance weight set at Walmart for like $100. It had the lat pull down, the bench press, the fly machine, leg extension, leg curl, just this one thing. It was like $100.
There you go.
So I convinced my mother I needed it. And that started my obsession with weightlifting. Said obsession lasts into high school, through high school, whatever. But my freshman year of high school, obviously not able to drive, weightlifting in the summer session was from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. And the only time that I could catch a ride to weightlifting was with my mother on her way to work at 5:30 in the morning. Yes.
Oh my.
So, 5:30 in the morning, I'm up every day during the summer, lifting weights from 8 to 10. Unfortunately, a lot of this summer, I could not find a ride home. I lived about 4 miles from the school. So, 100-degree days, middle of summer, I'm walking home, right? After leg day, after bench press, after anything and everything. At some point during this, I started getting pains in my anal region. It is apparently possible for 14-year-olds to get hemorrhoids.
Okay.
I didn't know what this was.
All right.
I convinced my mother, "Hey, I gotta go to the doctor. We gotta get an appointment." What for? "Yeah, I gotta go to the doctor." So this did not strike me as, this was obviously particularly embarrassing, right?
Yes.
Eased by the fact that my doctor was an attractive woman who was slight in stature.
And you're 14 at the time?
Yeah. And so I get there, and I'm nervous as all get out, right?
Okay.
So I'm talking to the nurse. The nurse always shows you the room. They know your problem beforehand, so they say, "Hey, here's your gown. You're going to need to be in this." I'm like, "Hey, it's between you and me. What's going to go on here? Like, what am I in for, doc?" And she says, "Well," and she explains to me that you're going to get a finger in the butt, right? Because they've got to check things, I guess. I don't know how these things work. So I'm laying there this whole time, and the nurse leaves. I got to disrobe, and I'm laying there this whole time thinking, my attractive doctor is going to have her finger in my butt. You've just got to get used to this idea. And very quickly, you start going through problems. You know what I'm saying? And you come to the ease of the fact, at least
she's a small person. Those fingers are going to be small. So normally, nurse closes the door, like for a physical exam,
Yes,
right?
yes.
I had physical exams before this time, and she closed the door. A couple minutes later, you hear, and that's your doctor. So I'm laying there on the table, like she told me to be, facing the wall, and I hear someone knock like the motherfucking police. I'm like, what is happening?
Mr. Fort, I'm here for you.
A 6'3" man
Woo!
who is the largest, hairiest man I have obviously ever seen in my life.
Lobster claws for fingers.
Well, here's the thing. That's the first thing I notice laying on that table is this man's fingers look like he unzipped his pants. And I've got to tell you, it was all right. But, you learn things about yourself. Often you learn things about yourself in situations and circumstances that you didn't expect to, but it wasn't so bad.
Thank you for sharing. I don't have anything nearly on par with that.
Well, you should have gone first.
I should have went first, apparently. All I was going to say is I've had.
I'm glad I got that story off my chest.
Did you feel better?
Been a long
Just
time.
breathe. Just breathe.
Oh.
Do you ever have a moment where you have to sit down and think to yourself, I pride myself on being a fairly intelligent individual.
All the time.
I read, I study. Why am I so fucking stupid?
I sure do.
Recently we had an issue at our house. I think we had I bought the significant other a build your own straw kit. She always uses straws to drink things. And it's like a connector set and you can build a giant straw. It was just a little something.
A little something.
There was something
That's
lodged.
Dalton's idea of romance.
Yes, it is. There was something lodged in said straw. And I'm looking at it, I'm running water.
This is a lot like my story.
Yes, I'm soaking it. I'm trying to prod it with my fingers. And I can't get this object unlodged from said straw. And I'm like, what the hell are we going to do? And she's like, you should just go to the store and get a pipe cleaner. I said, pipe cleaner? Are we going to be making little animals, like little crafts and whatnot? What the hell am I going to do with a pipe cleaner? It makes no sense to me. She's like, you're going to use it to clean that pipe in your hand. And at that point, it fucking dawned on me that my entire life I thought pipe cleaners were just some pseudonym for craft supplies. And their actual physical purpose was not to clean pipes. And I went through the whole Forrest Gump moment, I am not a smart man. And I sat there and just broke down and started questioning everything about my life. And that's the thing, I cannot remember it right now. There is something else that happened 2 days later where somebody just looked at me and they're like, no, let me enlighten you. Like I was a child. Well, so I just, So, if you think BookTube is fun and requires more stories about prostate exams, hit that subscribe button.
Or just sign up for a prostate exam.
Oh, we should do that for our 1,000 subscribers.
Dalton, that's on you.